Now, what about this concept of rehab? If you have a low back injury and you want to get back to deadlifting or running or cycling, then you should be able to undergo rehab and resume healthy activity. Does this hold true for a low FODMAP diet? The answer is yes. Quoting a 2023 observational study, more than half of the foods challenged or reintroduced were tolerated by participants, indicating these foods can be included in the long term. Another way of stating that is after a term on the low FODMAP diet, more than half of the foods that were cut out could be successfully brought back into the diet and consumed long term, which partially supports my hypothesis that we can recover or rehab from the injury in the gut and then resume consumption of normal foodstuffs like vegetables. A different but similar meta-analysis found that probiotics could lead to improvements in lactose tolerance. Not that lactose is a vegetable, but it makes the point of rehab, so to speak, in that the probiotics allowed people with dairy intolerance, or specifically lactose intolerance, to consume dairy again and not have the diarrhea, pain, and presumably bloating that accompanies lactose intolerance, likely because of the healing that occurs in the gut. Okay, so let's distill this down to some recommendations. Obviously, the low FODMAP diet. The initial trial, wherein you should be able to see some sort of benefit, not complete resolution, but a signal that you're improving, 3 to 4 weeks. That's your first fork in the road. If you're improving, continue. There's pretty good evidence that the low FODMAP diet, when you reintroduce and personalize after the first 1 to 3 months, can be used in this personalized fashion for 6 to 12 months. Remembering that over 50% of the foods can be reintroduced. So it's very important for me to clarify. I'm not saying strict low FODMAP long term. What I am saying is stricter 80-ish% compliance for 1 or 2 months and then reintroduce the tolerance. We will link to a few low FODMAP diet guides we have compiled. One is standard, one is vegetarian, and then one is essentially gluten-free and low dairy for people who are also following sort of an elimination diet. And we'll link to the University of Monash Low FODMAP Diet app. Low FODMAP Diet synergists, probiotics. The long short here is any quality probiotic formula should suffice. If you haven't used one, I would pick either a blend of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. This is kind of your traditional probiotic, or a Saccharomyces boulardii, healthy fungus, or a soil-based probiotic, and use that for about a month. If you're improving, continue for up to 2 to 3 months or longer. If you've used one probiotic and you're not sure, yeah, maybe I benefited, maybe I didn't, I'm not quite certain, then this is where at least my hypothesis is combining those 3 different formulas together into what we've termed triple therapy is probably a good idea. Hasn't yet been published. It's just a clinical observation that we're trying to share. Female hormones. There are a lot of options here. 2 formulas that I and we at the clinic use are a formula called Estro Harmony and a different formula called Progest Harmony. Estro Harmony is built around black cohosh and dong quai, and then Progest Harmony is built around Vitex, aka Chase Tree. Either one of these is fine. They both have pretty similar data showing improvements in PMS or in menopausal symptoms like hot flashing. You can use both. One formula is probably sufficient. I used to use the 2 together, and now in most cases, either one seems to be just fine. And does it matter in terms of your age or your symptoms? It really doesn't seem to, because these herbs tend to be adaptogenic, meaning they bring the hormones back to where they should be. So for ladies out there who've tried the diet and tried probiotics and given that some time, right? Don't be too quick to stack on a lot of therapies, but given the low FODMAP diet and say probiotics, maybe 2 or 3 months, if you're not fully responding and you're noticing a cycle correlation to your symptoms, this is when a female hormone support that's herbal in nature could make sense. And a lifestyle reminder. We've shared this study on the podcast in the past, but I think it's so landmark, it's worth repeating. A 2021 randomized control trial pitted prokinetic medications versus taking a walk after a meal. And after 1 month, they found that the walking group had better improvements in the than did the prokinetic medication group. So pretty fantastic to see that a lifestyle intervention is more powerful than a prokinetic medication. A few other things to consider after you've done all this for a few months. A reset with an elemental diet. Elemental diets are liquid meal replacements that are low or no fiber and prebiotic, very easy to digest, allowing rest for the gut. Other things just to mention would be herbal antimicrobial therapy. Something like oregano pearls, or the formulas we use in the clinic are the Biotic Clear line. Various herbs like garlic that have been shown to be antimicrobial that can help with the dysbiosis and the overgrowth. If you've done all of this and you're noticing the only symptom that you have is distension, so you don't have the feeling of pressure, pain, discomfort, your bowels are normal, it's just distension, then the issue might be muscular. And this is important to bear in mind because every once in a while, as much of a gut geek as I am, you will see someone who is really just hammering their microbiota, but they have no other symptoms. It's just abdominal wall distension. And this might indicate weakness in the abdominal musculature or an anterior pelvic tilt or weakness in the pelvic floor musculature or some combination of those. And this is where finding a good pelvic floor therapist can be quite helpful. So just, bear that in mind. Okay, so in summary, the paradigm here is a healthy gut can digest healthy foods, but akin to when you have an injury, healthy activity may flare that injury. We need a rehab plan to balance SIBO, dysbiosis, leaky gut, immune activation, histamine levels being high, and potentially improving levels of serotonin in the gut. The foundational tools are low FODMAP dieting, probiotics, and walking, and then consider other adjuncts like female hormone support, herbal antimicrobials, and tending to the musculoskeletal system in case you just have distension without any gas, pressure, pain, or bowel abnormalities. Okay, well, hopefully that helps you sort of rehab from vegetable bloating. And as usual, I hope you will comment and share your experience. Okay, guys, talk to you next time.